Hey YouTube, it's your girl Yona Marie, and today I want to go over some tips to help you avoid listener's fatigue. Yona Marie music, create with me. So if you're a musician or a construction worker, for example, you probably are aware that prolonged loud noises can really have a damaging effect on your hearing. Now, of course, the most obvious solution for this is to take a break from those loud noises, get away from that loud environment. But sometimes it's not that simple to just get away from it because you might have to be in that environment for work or school. So I want to share some tips with you that can help you avoid listener's fatigue, the irritation that comes with it, and possible damage, like irreversible damage that can happen because of this. So I've been doing some in-depth research on this topic because I'm in the studio a lot. I have headphones at volume levels that are probably not healthy for me at all for prolonged time. Sometimes I'm in the studio singing. Sometimes I'm doing my own mixing as well, and it can get really stressful on my ears and I need to take breaks. But what can you do besides breaks? So for my first tip, I was doing research and I found a Scandinavian study that was done. I'll leave the link in my description below for you to get the details for it. But the study shows that there's a direct link between working out or getting your heart rate high and ear fatigue. So if you're in the studio, you're moving around a lot, you're getting hyped, you're all over the place, that could actually be increasing the amount of ear fatigue you're going through. So of course, a lot of people like to work out and listen to music in their headphones at the same time, but that could be increasing your chances of your ears getting tired, your ears getting sore, you having a hard time hearing in that moment. So try not to be moving around a lot. I know when you're in the studio, you can get your heart rate up in general just by singing or rapping or playing your instrument. Just know that the more hype you get, you may be at more risk of your ears getting tired. Similar to that study, I found another study that was done in 2007 that I will also link in my description because I don't want y'all to think I'm just pulling these facts out of my tail, okay? But this study, similar to the ear fatigue you can get from working out, says that there's a direct link between ear fatigue and higher temperatures. So again, if you're in an area that may be hot, you might be working out, you might be in a studio that's stuffy, the AC isn't working, you might just be down in Miami in a hot area, you might be performing outside, like a festival type of event, you may be more at risk to get that type of listener's fatigue again. So if you're working or you're in school and you have to have some loud music going on, try to keep the area cool, and that way your ear and brain might be able to work a little less harder. And so my next tip is more simple, but instead of taking a break from that loud noise that you're getting exposed to, instead of just walking away and getting to a less loud environment, consider blocking out the noise even more so with something like earplugs. The brand I like to use is called Modex PureFit. It can reduce the amount of decibels you're getting exposed to significantly more so than other brands that I have tried, and a lot of other reviews are good for that product too. So I would recommend that, especially if you're in an environment you can't get away from that type of noise. You can pop those babies in your ear pretty quickly. It's a bit of a learning curve at first because you got to twist it a certain way to get it in right. But after you do, you'll be good to go. And my next tip, a lot of engineers and producers know this for sure, but not a lot of artists do. So when you're in the studio and you're listening to unmixed content, that can be described as something called sonic artifacts. Now, sonic artifacts can be heard when you're listening to unwanted sounds, maybe in a rough mix, you're hearing pops, you're hearing clicks, you're hearing something super loud that's unmixed, it's clipping, it's peaking. When you're hearing those type of elements, especially in some headphones, you're at risk. Your ears are not going to be liking that at all. So what engineers do if they're doing a long mix, they break it up. They give their ears some space, okay? Because when you're doing that for like 6-7 hours at a time, chances are if you're doing that for a full-time job, 20 years later, you're about to be deaf. I'm not playing with you. It's serious out here. And my last tip, if this is something you're seriously struggling with over and over again, I don't want you to just be on YouTube looking for tips. I think you should go to a doctor. Consult your doctor. Unfortunately, us music consumers, and especially us music creators, we're around a lot of loud noises and we're not thinking about the unhealthy limits to what our ears can handle. So if you've been doing this for years, decades, listening to crazy loud noises, you might have some hearing loss issues. And don't be ashamed to go talk to your doctor about that. And don't think you can fix this on your own, because you need to be recommended by a doctor to get some hearing aids. You can't just go pick that up at Walmart or something. So consider, if you're really having this issue, going to a doctor, okay? Because the best thing you can do is get clear, individual, specific feedback for your specific problem. You don't want to just let this go and continue listening to loud music thinking you'll be okay. So yes, I know it might sound like I'm preaching at you. It might sound like I'm your parents. Turn that loud music down though. because it's hurting your ears. Chances are you're listening to that loud music way longer than you should be, at way higher volumes than you should be. And actually, because of that, I'm going to give you a bonus tip, because you might be saying, what if you're not sure what levels are too much? Which decibel levels are too intense? Well, there are apps for that. Check out your apps on your smartphone. There's a couple apps. I know one is called Sound Level Meter, one is called Decibel Meter. You can measure the amount of decibels that you're listening to, especially in some headphones, and see if you're at those dangerous levels. So thank you for tuning in, and if my tips helped you out, please consider subscribing and check out my website at yonamariemusic.com for more tips. I'll see you later.